Who can certify a logbook? What endorsements do you get on your RPL at flight test? Best tips for CPL building, and a few questions about me. Plus, the frogs in the background. I'm going to discuss all that and more coming right up. So strap in and let's get into it.
Good morning, 7640, 95 Mallow 7 POB with Alpha.
Coordinating, Halen and rudder, bank pressure rolling at 30 degrees. That's 30 degrees there.
Stand by star 9000, 1013, KFI 25.
G'day everyone and welcome to episode 188 of the Flight Training Australia podcast. The podcast all about flight training and flying in Australia and beyond. G'day, I'm your host Trent Robinson and thank you for joining me again. Well, you can probably hear in the background, the wet season is 100% here. The green tree frogs are prolific in my backyard right now. They're just about everywhere you look. And as soon as there's any moisture around, they all start doing their thing, which is pretty much a mating call. And every now and then you do interrupt a couple of frogs doing their thing for the survival of the species. But it's been some fantastic weather. A couple of little catch-outs. And I know a few people have been doing some flying, check to line recently and dealing with the challenges of the wet season. And it is spectacular flying, but yeah, it really is challenging flying. So for those that are up here for their first wet season, do be safe. Remember to ask questions and do check out my YouTube channel. There's the wet season seminar recording, 2 episodes. It's split up into 2 videos, so make sure you watch both. And that's got a heap of local info, tips and tricks all about flying up here in the top end to help you out, plus the ones on the CASA YouTube channel from this year's seminar as well and previous years. We all got together the other night, the Darwin, now the Top End Pilots group, run by Simon and Will and the guys, organise a barbecue every now and then, and I finally got to come to one, which was a really great night. And we meet on Amy Johnson Drive, just under the undershoot of runway 29 there. Get to watch all the aeroplanes come into land over the top, whichever runway's in use, but it's usually about 29 this time of year anyway. And just have a barbie, catch up, have a drink, and of course talk everything aviation, share stories. It was really great just listening to everyone's conversations and sharing where they're at with their careers, and everyone's starting to realise, I think, that, hey, I'm having that problem too, and that happened to me, and it's just a really good camaraderie, and people from all levels of flying. Had beginners, instrument rated pilots, just started a commercial, pilots looking for jobs, pilots have just come up here for PC-12. G'day Lou, nice to meet you. And it was just really good to hear everyone's stories and where their careers are at. So probably won't get one before Christmas, but if you're in Darwin around January, keep an eye on the Top End Pilots group page for the next barbecue, and I'll share that as well and try and make it myself if I can. And, if you've got a few pilots hanging around in your neck of the woods, maybe consider doing the same sort of thing, whether you've got a social pilot group, Facebook group or anything. Spread the word and get everyone together and invite some operators as well. And a good chance just to have a bit of a social catch up and pick the brains of people you wouldn't normally get to mix with. What else is happening? I'm off to Broome this week, guys. So if you're in Broome on Thursday, Friday or Saturday, that's the 20th, I think it is. I'll be in Broome for the night, so I might do a little catch-up again at the Spinifex or somewhere, Mangrove or whatever, on Friday night if you're interested. So keep an eye on the Instagram socials there, and I'll spread the word on that one. Otherwise, I asked some questions the other day, and my goodness, some fantastic answers, or questions for me to answer, sorry. And I have a bunch to get onto as well. So I'll definitely record another episode this week before I go to Broome, and I'll cover some more Sunday because there's a couple here that are really great and absolutely pertinent, and I know you will all benefit from. So thank you for everyone sending those in. And as always, if there's anything you want to know, any topics, questions, any arguments you're having or whatever, or just can't find the reg or whatever, hit me up, info@trentrobinsonaviation.com.au, or any of the links, all in the episode description. You can find all the details there and flick me a message and I'll get onto it as soon as I possibly can. All right, so the first one we've got here, which is a really good one because it's actually come up a few times in recent weeks, from QWERTY8783, and they asked, who can certify a logbook? So very good question. Now, to find out about logbooks, you may not have actually read this bit before, but in our CASRs 61.345, personal logbooks for pilots. And just a few little bits and pieces in there. It does talk about a person who holds a pilot license or a certificate of validation of an overseas flight crew license commits an offence if the person does not keep a personal logbook in accordance with the regulation. And of course, it goes into what it is you must log, which is all your flights and simulator sessions and the like. And it also covers off false entries in logbooks. And if you do make a false entry in a logbook, then you're very naughty. Right, now this has come up a couple of times that I've seen, I guess is the term to use, where people have inflated logbooks, added a little bit here, a little bit there, and got found out one day. Definitely something you don't want to be doing. It is a offence of strict liability, and I have mentioned that term before, and it's right throughout the regulations. And strict liability means that it doesn't really matter whether you meant to do it, didn't mean to do it, someone told you it was okay or not, because it's covered in the regs and you do it, it is a offence. All right. And the offence is 50 penalty units. And if you're not sure what a penalty unit is every state and Commonwealth government has a penalty unit for all crimes, offences, all that sort of thing, of varying amount of dollars per unit. And the current Commonwealth penalty unit is $330. So if you make false entries in your logbook, that could be up to a $16,500 fine. So I'm sure you'd much prefer not to get that. Right, so make sure you fill out your logbooks properly. Then part of that process is to certify the hours. The logbook is legal tender. It is a legal document, so you need to make sure that it is correct. Of course, there's going to be the odd mistake here or there, but we're talking about malicious entries. So if you're a student, any training hours, any flying done under the supervision of a flight school, the flight school will typically certify the logbook. Now, where this came up the other day is this used to be something was done kind of religiously. It was an end of month instructor responsibility to go through student logbooks, cross-check them against student training records and their own personal logbooks and make sure everything all lined up. And then usually put a stamp or a sticker in the logbook. And you used to leave 3 or 4 lines between each month so that each month could be signed off as certified true and correct. All right, so that's where that sort of comes in. But then once you either start building non-integrated hours that aren't necessarily being supervised by a flight school, or any training beyond where you've finished your sort of license and ratings, then that little certification in the bottom left-hand corner is all yours. All right, so you can certify your own logbook, and you are basically saying that I certify that everything on this page is true and correct to the best of your knowledge. So that's what is going on there. So yeah, you can certify your own logbook. You're saying it is, but typically instructors will take care of that whilst you're in a flight school environment. Right, so hopefully it helps. Thanks, Query, for your question. Right, the next one's from Lachlan, and he's asking about RPL endorsements. If I do all my training at a controlled aerodrome, do I get that on my RPL? So really good question. And it's a bit of a curveball one, actually. So if you do your RPL, you obviously get an RPL at the end of it. There are then 4 recreational pilot license endorsements which can be added. A controlled aerodrome, controlled airspace, flight radio endorsement, and recreational navigation endorsement. So the first thing to understand here is if you do training at an aerodrome that involves any of those, and I can guarantee everyone will be a flight radio endorsement. So that is every single time, everybody will get that one. But if you're at a Class D aerodrome, then you do fall into controlled aerodrome endorsement. If you're at a controlled airspace, so more of a Class C airspace, then you can get controlled airspace as well. If you look through the regs, it does then get very convoluted that one equals another and another equals this one. And I don't really understand how that sort of works because there's quite significant differences in how you operate in a Class C aerodrome and a D aerodrome, etc. But anyway, that's how it works. But when you do your RPL flight test, the big kicker here is that the flight examiner does not submit that information to CASA. They have not done that training with you, and so the flight examiner doesn't do that. It is the responsibility of your instructor to then submit the paperwork for the relevant RPL endorsements. So at the very minimum, you should be getting the FROL, or the Flight Radio Operator License. And if you are, like I said, a Class C or D aerodrome, then there'll be other things there as well. Generally speaking, the only one you won't get straight up is the navigation endorsement. That is separate training. There's a separate exam that needs to be done for that one as well, either set by the school or a CASA aspect exam that you can do for the RPL. And it's pretty much almost identical to the PPL exam. I'd say 90% of the content is in there. So it's not really an avoidance tactic for those of you sort of been thinking about it. If you look at the MOS and compare the two syllabi together, they're almost neck and neck. All right. But yeah, RPL is a separate endorsement. All right. So hopefully that answers your question there, Lachlan, and all the best for the upcoming training. All right. Next one from Max. Best tips for CPL hour building. All right. There's that word I hate. Well, two words. Hour building. And I guess that forms my answer. We're all not made of money. All right, the most of us anyway. So I understand the temptation to get into the cheapest airplane you can. But trust me when I say that there's hour building and then there's experience building. Somehow you need to find the best combination of cost effective and the most benefit to you. The biggest problems that are happening right now with pilots coming up to Darwin looking for jobs is they have no idea what they're doing. They've never flown out and about. They are stuck in their main training airport region of 150 miles or so. They haven't taken friends. They haven't taken family. They haven't flown different aeroplanes. So whilst jumping in a 152 or a Tomahawk or something cheap will be tempting, you need to be challenging yourself. So by all means, absolutely, if you've got a 150, 152, whatever, cheap 172, Warrior, whatever, there's a bunch of options out there. Go for it. But if you are going to do that, don't just do the same milk run every day. Try and go to different places. If that means you save 2 or 3 flights and do it over a weekend, take some friends out, go overnight somewhere, refuel, go to an unfamiliar aerodrome. All right. These are some of the best things you can do. If you can fly interstate, even better. All right. This all is going to give you exposure and put you a little bit outside your comfort zone. All right. But it's nothing you shouldn't be able to handle with the qualifications that you've just got. All right. And if you do find that you're struggling, then obviously ask for help and get guidance and deal with that with your flight school. And tell them that you're not feeling confident in whatever area it is, so you can get better exposure at it. All right. But whilst there is 75 to 100 hours of flying to be done and hours built, definitely just get the most varied exposure you can. If that means doing a different aircraft endorsement and go do some tailwheel flying, do some cross country, like I said, to places you haven't been to before, all of that will help you greatly. All right. So good luck with that. And hopefully you pick up some cool tips and enjoy yourself. All right. So to wrap up, a few other questions that I got asking me about stuff. Aaron, what profession would you be doing if it wasn't aviation related? Probably trying to find you, because every time I'm in the area, you're not around. Look, I talk about this often. I reckon a firefighter. It's definitely something I've always wanted to do. My daughter's partner's just started doing, well, finished ill fire training and now started as a firefighter. And I am living through him big time. Right? It's something I've been fascinated by and really, really loved. I've done photography, aerial photography, videography, editing. I love doing that. I wish I was doing more right now. It's killing me that I'm not being able to get the time to get stuff up on YouTube and everything else, but that is also something that I would have done. Would have I tried to turn into a career? I'm not sure, but I think firefighter would definitely be up there as something that I wanted to do. So thanks for your question, Aaron. All right, guys, look, I've already covered the airspeed velocity of an unladen sparrow. All right. It's in a few mailbags ago, so you can look that one up. The answer is there and it's complete. So stop asking me. All right. Aussie Chip, Chris, when are we catching up for a chat and a beer? Yes, well, we've been trying to do that for a while. So next time in Perth, we'll definitely make sure we can do that. Izzy from Broome, scrunch or fold? All right. If you don't know what he's talking about, it's toilet paper, guys. So I am probably a scruncher, although sometimes I do fold. I guess it just depends on how I'm feeling on the day. All right. But yeah, don't know what made him think of that. Stu, the farmer, my good mate, the potato farmer. Make sure you support your farmers out there, guys, and stay away from the big supermarkets if you can and buy local. What is the square root of an isosceles triangle? I think we're getting a bit off track here, but as I pointed out to him, that's not possible to calculate. And the other one we've got here is, have you completed your ATPLs? This is from Toby. So yes, I have. I have my ATPL. I have to have my ATPL for the multi-crew flying I'm doing with Pasbali and the Mallard there. And we'll be also needing that for the DC-3. So I did my instructor rating in, what was it, March, April. I did the March, April course in 1998. And that was sort of going into winter. So then I, 1999 it was. So 1999, I did the instructor course and then I got the winter blues. And there's a little bit of a gap between now and when a job might be available. So that's where I hit up the ATPLs then. And I finished them off in 2001. And as I was telling the students the other day at the barbecue, back then you had to sit all 7 ATPL exams over 3 days. So there's none of this splitting them up and knocking them out one at a time. All 7 exams in 3 days. It was absolutely taxing. We did a 6 to 8 week full-time theory course, studying all of that, and then all the exams at the end. And if that wasn't bad enough, if you failed one exam, you had to sit all 7 again. I kid you not. Ask anyone who did theirs in the 90s or the 2000s, early 2000s. Soon after that, thank God it changed. The process then was if you failed one, you only had to resit that one exam, but you had to buy exam credits in groups of 7. Now, they're not as expensive as the aspect exams are now, but I think they're about $30 each back then, but still that seemed a little bit unfair. But anyway, that was far better than having to do all 7 exams again over 3 days, believe you me. So I don't think anyone was really complaining. All right, and then by 2003, I got my 1,500 hours, which consisted of, 700 pilot and command, I think, and 75 IF. And then I could fill out the application form, and then I got my ATPL. Different to now, where the ATPL is obviously a flight test, either done by yourself or you just wait till you get into an airline environment and it gets taken care of then. All right. But yeah, so I've had my ATPL since then. I've only really been using it. Well, I guess you use elements of it, especially when you get into glass cockpit stuff and turbo prop flying. But from a multi-crew aspect, and I don't know, loading and all that, not so much until you get into a multi-crew environment. You know, the DC-3 Mallard is that, but I'd say the MCC kind of covers things off a bit more there than the ATPL training itself, but certainly help with things like gas turbine engine theory and aircraft systems and all that, and certainly going into the MCC, understanding how an FMS works and all that. Very, very helpful. All right, so there's a few little things about me there and some great questions, guys. So thank you very much to everyone for asking those. Like I said, I've got a stack more, which you could probably do another 3 episodes on. So I will pick a few more out for next week, and might even do a few Instagram story reels for a couple of them as well. So do keep an eye out for those this week. If you're around in Broome on Thursday, Friday and Saturday, November 20th, let me know. Say good day. And yeah, I'd love to catch up. I'll just do a little bit of a meet up somewhere if everyone's keen to catch up again. All right, until then, I'll get ready to go to bed soon and go to sleep to the sound of the frogs. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. Until next time, stay safe, blue skies, and remember the golden rule: aviate, navigate, communicate. Cheers, everyone.